time to wake up. It's time to wake up. It's time to wake up. It's time to wake up.
Hello, everybody. Lovely to see you all here. I'm Niclas. I'm the head of the communication at the German Startup Association, and we are very much convinced that Germany needs more bold founders, like we saw them outside. And as a startup association, it's our job to push things forward for these founders. Policy-wise, I just saw Christian Lindner there. We're trying to shape policy for founders, less bureaucracy, better financing, easier access for talent to Germany, but also, getting the German society a bit more into the mood of thinking about startups, taking more risks, seeing that this kind of entrepreneurial spirit is actually a good thing to push innovation in Germany and in Europe forward. We are very happy to be a partner of the GreenTech Festival this year. Thanks to the whole GreenTech Festival team for making this possible. And I'm very happy that there are chairs today here on stage, because yesterday we had the German Startup Awards where we honored outstanding entrepreneurs. It was a great gala event at the Tippi- und Kanzleramt. Robert Habeck was holding a great speech. Really, I had goosebumps. And also, we had a very great party. It was very late, so I'm still a bit wobbly on my feet, and happy that there are chairs. Also happy that all the other 3 people on the panel with me were at the German Startup Awards. So we all kind of on the same level. But I'm not here to complain. We want to talk about green startups. I'll cut it to the chase and get going. It's common knowledge that we are living beyond our planetary boundaries and are in dire need of solution for all the challenges that we face when it comes to a more sustainable future. Startups are drivers of innovation in the green economy. We want to talk how they do it, what characterizes them, and what challenges they have to overcome. I'm delighted to have a knowledgeable and versatile panel here. First, last year's winner of the Investor of the Year at the German Startup Awards. She has already saved rhinos in Botswana, turtles in Costa Rica, is a passionate impact investor, founder and managing director of Better Ventures, Tina Dreimann. Go ahead. Thank you, Tina. Then there's our head of research at the German Startup Association. As I said, he's responsible for our research. He regularly delights the public with exciting studies about startups, about green startups, about female founders, about migrant founders, and he's also an inexhaustible encyclopedia of movies. So if you want to talk about movies later, go ahead. Dr. Alexander Hirschfeld. And then she has worked for E.ON, Oracle, Google, and is now the CTO of one of the fastest growing startups in Germany, the solar unicorn 1,5, Barbara Wittenberg. All right. So let's start with an overview. Alex, according to the Green Startup Monitor, green startups are making a significant contribution to the transformation of the economy. What would you say? What characterizes green startups, and what is the development in the recent years?
Thank you, Niclas, and thank you very much for hosting us today. I think it's a great festival, a great panel. First of all, what characterizes green startup, of course, that they have a certain impact concerning ecological changes, concerning climate change, and this can be true for their product, but also for their business model more generally. And as you said, we do a study every year, the Green Startup Monitor, where we kind of map how many green startups are out there and in which different fields they are operating. And about 30% of the startups in Germany consider themselves to be green startups. I mean, we have to be a little cautious because, green, everyone wants to be green, but I think it's a good indicator that it's a very important topic for startups, for founders out there. Many are purpose-driven, many don't only want to make money, but want to change things. And we can see that in the Green Startup Monitor, and we can see that also in many other studies that we do at our association. And I think one very important aspect that we see in our data is the strong focus in hardware and technology. Normally, in the ecosystem in general, it's about 50 to 20% that focus on hardware and technology, because it's a very tough and challenging field that takes a lot of time and is not such a clear investment case, not such a clear VC case. And in the green economy, we see that the percentage is much higher. It's more like 30 to 35%. I think this is a very specific aspect. It's not about, it's not in the whole green ecosystem that you do hardware or technology, but it's a very strong focus that you have on this aspect.
Great, thanks, Alex. 30%, that's a very impressive number. Pushing purpose forward, being also hardware driven. Tina, as an investor, what is your take on this? How has the ecosystem changed and evolved?
Can you hear me? Yes, you can hear me. With Better Ventures, we're early stage investors, so we're an impact angel club supporting the most ambitious founders that currently solve our solutions. And just recently we launched a report with the Circular Republic in Munich from the Unternehmertum. And the early stage investment volume has tripled over the last 3 years. That's fantastic. So currently we actually have a startup gap. That means we need more great founder teams. And I'm happy to tell you how they look like how do the teams look like that we invest in. Firstly, they are passionate. They really want to solve the problem. There are Harvard studies that passion beats experience. Of course, both of it is even better. And secondly, we need a strong, diverse team. And I'm not talking about women versus men. I'm talking about that you have the capability and experience in your team that supports the business model and that you can rely on the capabilities there. So I really recommend, don't look right next to you in the WHU who you've partied with. I know they are also great teams. However, there are fantastic people like Christian Vollmann who are doing it again. So they are experienced entrepreneurs and they are now combining forces with scientists and really start on a big mission to build new solutions. For example, Christian Vollmann with green chemicals.
Great, thanks, Tina. And Christian Vollmann obviously makes our heart go faster at the Startup-Verband because he was one of the main protagonists at our association. Barbara, a look at the practical side. We heard that a lot of green startups are hardware startups. You are one of those. You are one of the fast-growing companies. How do you see the 1,5 journey? What do you say?
I would really say that we also started very strong on the hardware side, if you look at our case, but then we started combining different hardwares and steering it also with software, right? And in the end, that when you grow further and want to bring things to market and differentiate further, there I would see that it can make a big difference on the impact also that you can have. Also on making even more out of the hardware that is installed anyway and using it even in a better and greener way in the end, instead of just installing and then kind of hoping for the best. So I think that makes a big difference to not only do hardware, but think about how to make most of the hardware with software afterwards.
And hearing about the growing and maybe the speed of the growing, Tina, as you helped a lot of startups to grow, what do you say? Is there some kind of growth pain? How can you gap that pain? How can you lessen it?
I'm a founder myself. We've made over 40 investments over the last 3 years. Half of them went into, I would call it planetary topics, from energy over climate, nature, tech, all the way to circularity and resources. And many of them, in that short time frame, we, being the first investors, are already moving towards Series seed at least, but Series A, Series B, so the growth is tremendous, and that's exactly what we need, because we don't have much time solving our biggest problems. And it's a freaking pain. So if you embark on the founder journey, it's not easy. Many successful founders said, I'm not sure if I would do it again. But it's also so much fun and fulfilling, and that's why you need to pick a topic that you're passionate about so that you have that resilience. And I can tell you that you have a personality, you have a DNA, but resilience is something that is taught and can be learned. So certain traits are maybe given, but we can learn everything, and resilience is definitely something that you can work with as team, with coaches, with other founders who've done it before. And that's why with Better Ventures, we united experienced entrepreneurs who've built their own companies, ran their own companies, so that they can be at your side.
Yeah, that's what I also thought this morning, that I need to boost my resilience. So maybe I'll do some coaching on that as well.
I can help you with that.
Yeah, thank you.
Real quickly to add, and if you haven't founded a company yet and you're playing with that thought, just do it. I loved Robert Habert yesterday because he said it's called startup. Start means starting and not sitting and waiting.
Alex, we just heard about the quick growth and also the purpose on the other side. What are your empirical observations saying? Are green startups there somehow different than other startups when it comes to that fast growth on the one hand and then the purpose on the other side?
Yeah, first of all, I just wanted to comment on what Tina just said. Do it now, start now. I think an important insight is that newly founded startups in the green economy are going down at the moment a bit. And I think that is very interesting and also a very alarming news. And as you were saying, I mean, funding is a tough time for funding, but especially in the green economy, funding is rather stable. So at the moment, I think it's a very important time to kind of encourage people to found startups in a sustainable ecosystem.
Last year was one of the worst funding years we ever had. Angel investing halved in Europe, and we did 14 investments, 12 of the rounds were oversubscribed.
Wow.
So that's the place to found your company now.
Definitely, I think this is a great input, very important. Concerning what did you say, Niclas? What differentiates green startups, right?
Yes. How the greens are different than the other ones.
Forgot the original question. I'm sorry. As I said at the beginning, this focus on hardware and technology is very important, and I think you already touched on that. The aspect that technology plays a key role at the beginning, and then it changes when you scale. I think this is very important, and scaling the Wachstumsschmerz. I think this is very particular or can be particular for green startups. Because they just sometimes are not on the same track as you are to kind of play with some stereotype like an e-commerce business that has been done so many times before. So that can be like a specific journey, and we know from our data that more green startups say that they have challenges concerning funding, concerning growth, and I think this is a very specific aspect, and that is why it's important that there are specific programs, also specific funds out there that know how green startups function, how they look like, and how they should scale, kind of. And I think the last very important aspect is that they are very densely connected to technology and your universities. So spin-offs, university, scientific breakthroughs, so to speak, are important for green startups. And that is why in Germany, if we really want to get green startups going, we have to become much better when it comes to university spin-offs. And this is a huge topic in Germany. We are far behind compared, for example, to the US, where this is really a strong focus of the university, because they are just built differently in the US. And this is really an aspect that we have to improve in the next couple of years.
Yeah, that's definitely a very good point. When we think about deep tech, when we think about battery recycling or about sustainable plastic, there are so many good, knowledgeable innovations at our universities that just don't make it into a startup because people are not helped to get going and get started. But Alex, you also touched upon the journey and the culture. Barbara, you have worked in in energy companies, in big tech. How do you experience the culture at 1,5 with regards to what Alex said? Is there like a special green tech spirit or something like that?
Yeah, definitely. And I think Tina mentioned already the passion. And I think most of the time in bigger companies, everybody asks themselves, I need to set a team mission. I need to know why do we do this? And then you try to make information searchable on a large scale. You look at Google, and then every team thinks about, okay, how do I add to that? And you try to come up with this thing. And if you are in the green tech business, like 1,5, it's okay, you have that mission. We want to live on wind and sunlight forever for free. This is what we want to bring to the customers. Okay, what does it need to get there? And then you automatically have in the teams that drive to work to that mission, and you also have a different type of candidates applying, because also most of the candidates that you get through the applications, they come to the company because they want to be part of that mission, and they want to spend their working hours and days on something they can identify with as a mission, and not just sit talking about starting up and sitting again, not just sit and wait that the time is over and they feel like they've lost their day. So there's definitely a big differentiator when it comes to culture and also drive for a mission in a green tech startup.
I think that's also a resilience topic again, because we are living in a multi-crisis, like so many different things happening at the same time of transformation, and that creates fear because people usually want to stay in the space where they are, and we are realizing change on multiple dimensions at the moment. So the best way to deal with that anxiety is to get into action and to work with people who are building the solutions, and that's the only way I'm an optimist, and I get up every morning very happily because I still believe that we can build a beautiful world and sustain on this planet. With the nature.
That's the right spirit. And but Barbara, thinking about the people, really, they want to get going, they're full of purpose. You just said different people apply. Is there somehow a sharp contrast with that spirit when you look at the regulatory environment? Because especially when it comes to the energy industry, it's changing a lot. There's a lot of uncertainty. You at 1,5 recently spoke out against the subsidies for photovoltaic manufacturers, the energy law, especially when you, for example, think about hydrogen, is constantly changing and evolving, and that can be somehow frustrating. Is that a clash sometimes?
I'm not sure whether it really clashes, because at the same time it needs you to adapt a lot. I think in a bigger company that's a little bit doesn't want to change fast, it becomes more of an obstacle than it is actually to a startup. Because yes, you anyway change your business model, your setup, everything all the time. So yes, there's another factor that's changing, but I also, with my experience in the past with working for E.ON, for example, it doesn't hit you at the same speed because you're anyway at a faster speed, right? So I think this is one thing how I feel it differentiates. And then the other thing I think is about how to differentiate from single factors. If you look, for example, at solar, you always call it the solar coaster. Yes, but what do you do with your business model? For example, we not do only solar, but we work with heat as well. We combine those things. We work in we are active in 7 different markets. Rarely regulation changes at the same time in all of the markets we're active in. Then sometimes it's even in our favor, because we've seen something like in Sweden with smart meters, dynamic tariffs. We are already active in that space. Germany is just getting there because regulation is slower. So sometimes then if you are diverse enough, it even helps you to prepare for what might happen in other countries. But still, sometimes you wake up and you think like, wow, why does this happen now? And what do we do with it? And how do we change it? So it's not that it's a perfect world, right? And I think the best part of it is to don't make your business model and the impact and the value you have for customers reliant on certain regulations that might happen, because then what do you do if they do not happen? I think that's the biggest risk that there is.
So to be independent with your business model, right?
And diversify, so different countries regulation doesn't change everywhere at the same point in time. So that's also a big factor.
And you just talked about the different speed, like startups being very fast, E.ON maybe being not that fast. And we earlier also talked about that startups can drive transformation in established companies. Alex, is there what is the relationship between the green startups and the established companies? Are they somehow pushing them, helping them, or is it rather just like a clash of cultures and everybody is frustrated at the end?
I guess it's both.
Yeah.
And to kind of continue on what you were just saying, I mean, big companies, they cannot change on a very fast and level. They are not that flexible. So I would say very much they need startups to innovate generally, and particularly when it comes to sustainability. So they use or probably buy solutions from startup, and I think this is very important, and this is how transformation of the established economy in Germany is going to happen in the next 20 to 30 years. Of course, there will be innovation also in the big corporates like the automotive industry, but a lot will come from startups that they work with, that they probably acquire, and some are going to be replaced by other companies, and I think that's how it's going to happen. And we also see that kind of in our data. Startups work a lot with established companies, and sustainable green startups do it even more. So we see that especially in this field, the cooperation with the industry in Germany is particularly important.
Thank you, Alex. Unfortunately, I see the clock, time's ticking. We don't have a lot of time left. So moving on from collaborations to future fields, to the challenges and opportunities. Everybody talks about AI at the moment. Tina, how do you see that? Do green startups use a lot of AI? Do you use a lot of AI? What's the dynamic here?
Better Venture was just in a Handelsblatt on Tuesday because we introduced AI 2 years ago, and we needed to be faster and even better in decision making in our investment process because we get 200 applications per month. So we prioritize which startups we look at based on our investment criteria, and really end-to-end try to draw value from AI. And the fact is, it's there. We have to deal with it. Sadly, the circularity report showed that only 8% of those, I mean, it's a cut of the green startups, but only 8% are working with AI. Of course, also because we're talking about material science, we're talking about recycling, so not everywhere we have the opportunity to apply the AI, but it's a vast field that we should use and which will make us faster. And just imagine that when I was little, I sat at a phone with a cord and I could dial this round thing, and I would never have imagined that I have a mobile phone where I can call people all over the world anytime with a video even. So I'm really curious what's going to happen over the next 3, 5, 10 years with the new technologies that are now out there.
All right. Very interesting thoughts. We now have 2 minutes left, so I'd like to come to the closing statements, starting with Barbara. Barbara, speaking about 1,5, what is the biggest challenge? What's the most important thing for you in 2024?
Good question. The most important thing for me from a tech perspective is really to bring the solution that we now have in a couple of countries really to all of our countries, right? And really have that ecosystem of customers that we connect to our systems and that we enable and connect to the energy market, not only Denmark, Sweden, Germany, where we currently do that, but also bring that to our Australian customers.
Great, thanks. Then, Alex, what is the most interesting dynamic? What are you very eager to observe when you think about green startups?
Okay, the most interesting dynamic, of course, I would say AI, but
Yeah.
I'm not saying it. I think what is interesting in the green sector is that there was so much focus on trends that we all know and want to talk about, like mobility, smart cities. So there was a strong focus on that. And was kind of neglected and not focused on that much were fields that are even more important when it comes to really the change, the transformation, like industry, like energy, for example. And I think this, for me, would be the change that is happening at the moment, but that we also need to have happened even more. More focus on industry, construction, energy, and not so much the focus on this kind of trending topics like mobility that we had the last couple of years.
Thank you, Alex. And now over to you, Tina. You just said you get, what, like 2,000? 200 per month. What was the last time when you looked at the pitch at an application and you were like, wow, this is just amazing. I'm going to go there.
It happens all the time, to be honest. There are so many great startups out there that I'm even sad that I have to say no. And I'm most excited about nature tech because I'm close to nature. You said I rescue rhinos and turtles, and I really am curious how we can solve that problem with tech and get back. And I even reported about a startup that is bringing back species based on the DNA that are already extinct. So there are crazy things out there.
All right. Thank you, Tina. And now we have reached the end of our discussion. Big applause for the panel.
It's time to wake up.